nervous about having the freshmen come in. In fact, we didn't even know what a freshman looked like. And so we were really kind of excited and nervous, but one of the things that we knew we wanted to do, we know by research that anytime students make a transition from one school to another, that the more positive, the more energetic, the more things that you have, if you have systems in place that are real positive and those kinds of things, that dropout rates go down, a lot of positive things happen from that. And so we thought, how can we capture the freshmen and make sure that we can relate to them that they are not the low men on the totem pole, low women on the totem pole. Because I know when I was a freshman in our school, you knew that you were going to be hung up on a coat rack somewhere or thrown into a locker, because those were kind of the things that were accepted. Well, they were kind of accepted. That's what they did. And we want to eliminate any of that kind of stuff. We want to make sure that as your freshmen come in, that they are welcomed here, that we have upperclassmen that love them and want them, because we are the pack. When the mascot came about the pack, the Wolfpack, it was so fun to feed off of that, and how the pack takes care of everybody. And so one of those things that we started to do, that's why we'll have a freshman Wolfpack Academy Day, which is on Thursday, that your students will come. It'll just be the freshmen on Thursday by themselves. Then they'll come back on Friday also with the regular kids. If your alphabet is from A to J, and then K through Z will be on Monday. But we'll have a day with them where we'll be doing a lot of things that are really not done on the first day of school. So we'll look forward to that. But what we want to do tonight is to share with you, last year we started a Wolfpack Academy class. And we want to share a little bit of the reasons why and what led up to this. And Darren Perks can come here really quickly. When we opened up the school, I asked Darren Perks at the time if he would kind of run with this. And we went to some trainings and things like that, and how we can capture the freshmen and make sure that they know, hey, you know what, this is what we do. This is the Wolfpack way for 4 years, and also to help them with navigating through high school. And so there's been a lot of cool things that have happened, and it just keeps getting better and better. So I'm going to turn the time over to Darren Perks here. He's one of our English teachers here. He's also one of our instructional coaches in the district. And we're hoping to have you out of here within a half hour, and we'll have some ice cream at the end. So thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your kids to us and trusting that we'll have them for 4 years. And we hope that this school will stay open as long as we can. So as long as we try to do the things that we do have control over, we hope to keep this school open. So anyway, thanks, Darren.
And like Mr. Swenson said, we started this when Green Canyon first opened, and we've made a lot of changes since then. We're really excited about the fact that it's now a class, and we just have a better opportunity to really get to know the students and help them in more ways than we did when we were only seeing them once a week. And so we're going to show you a couple of things to kind of show you why we do what we do.
I was born without a left hand. Essentially what happened is my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck twice, and my arm got stuck in between the umbilical cord and my neck.
Because the cord is wrapped around the neck, it actually can end up being more of a major issue in which the brain suffers injury.
Although I survived, I was born into rough circumstances. My parents divorced when I was 4, like some of your parents. It was tough. I was in a split custody household situation, and I didn't have much of a home structure. And to make matters worse, my dad was diagnosed with cancer.
He just first lost the ability to walk, and then he was laying in bed, and then he couldn't talk anymore, but he could hear, and he hallucinated a lot.
And when I was 10, he passed away. I watched him take his last breath in the living room of my house. I held his hand as he died, and it broke me. I was 6'4", going into 7th grade, a giant creature. Shaggy red hair on my arm. I was a sight for sore eyes. buddies, and I tried out for the team, and the coach cut me. He told me that basketball is a two-arm sport, and then try something else. I didn't have direction, I didn't believe in myself, but I am a strong believer that it just takes one leader, one mentor, coach, teacher to step up and just change your life, to ignite a spark.
Hey, I got a 6'9" kid, red-haired kid, ball of joy, would love to play basketball. He was going to play for his other team, but they said he wasn't good enough. So I'm like, 6'9" kid, I'll take it, man. I don't care what his skill level was.
And one day he came up to me in practice, and he said, "Kevin, why don't you use that arm when you play?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Why don't you use that arm?" I was like, "Dude, I don't have an arm. That's the whole thing, bro. Like, chill." And he's like, "No, man, that thing's a weapon." This was what I hated most about my terrible life. I hated it. I was self-conscious about it. I didn't even like looking in mirrors. I avoided them like the plague. I was so self-conscious about this thing. And this coach, he couldn't change my arm. He couldn't grow it out. But he found a way to allow me to accept it, to embrace it. Mentally, that's all it took.
He's tall and he's lanky, he doesn't look strong. He's got one hand, he looks terrible. And then I get on the block-collar shots.
Well, I didn't want to be a product of my circumstance. Now I didn't have to. That's the first step. Every single one of you guys has another in your own way. It sounds insane, but you did it. You have to learn to accept and embrace yourself. You have to learn to believe in you. If you do, everybody else will fall in line.
A high school basketball player in Pleasanton is getting a lot of attention these days.
Sometimes in life and in sport, there are special individuals who defy the odds.
Amador Valley's Kevin Loud plays on the Dons varsity squad, and he does it all with just one hand.
My senior year, the President of the United States heard about me. He was inspired by my story. He flew out on Air Force One to meet me. That night,
We really need to win this game. It's just huge. I got a lot of people on there coming to it. I can't put any pressure on it, and I can't move my foot up or down.
and I broke my leg the same day.
And what does that mean? Is that hairline? Is that what you call it, hairline?
Shaft proximal fibular fracture.
Lost all my scholarship offers, missed the rest of my senior year. I was broken. All I ever cared about was basketball, and it was ruined. I was at this low peak, but you still have to find how to elevate and pick yourself back up. I ended up having to go to a military academy prep school, 5th year of high school. I didn't want to give up on my dream, my ambition to play basketball. I graduated military school, first in class, valedictorian. I graduated college in 3 years as an honor student, taking 40 credits a year. Stupidest kid in town. In the military academy, I became the first Division I basketball player. I got a full scholarship, played at Manhattan College in New York City.
2 years at Manhattan College, and myself would like to present you with that opportunity.
I played pro basketball. I got to share my story to hundreds of thousands of people out there and inspire and elevate them. You learn to believe in yourself and the world will fall in line. Today, I speak all over the world. I've been to almost every continent about Antarctica. And I get to do this series with you because I have this heart that bleeds for the youth of this country. Because we need to learn to lead. We need to elevate ourselves to be a bigger part of something just so much bigger than ourselves. That's how this world changes. It starts with you. If not you, then who?
So we wanted to start with that video because every freshman that comes into our school has a story. I'm not saying that every kid's going to come in here with a nub and going to be 6'11" with bright red hair or anything like that. But we all have different stories of successes and failures that we want to celebrate and make the most of when you're here at Green Canyon. So we've got a couple of other mentors that are going to share some things with you to explain how this program works.
Okay, I want you to just take a second and look at some of the statistics that are going to be up here. There we go. So the why we do this is based on some of these statistics that we know are happening with transitions. And so for kids coming from 8th grade into 9th grade, that's a huge transition. And we want to make sure that they are having the best opportunity for the most success that we can possibly give them here at Green Canyon. And so if we can provide a way to change these statistics, we want to do that. We want to make sure that the kids that we have here have that best opportunity.
And then in order to do this, in schools in which transition programs are fully operational, researchers saw a dropout rate of 8%, while schools without transition saw a 24%. So what we want to do is teach our mission statement to the freshmen, which is PACK, Purpose, Attitude, Connections, and Knowledge. That's something that we really enforce here at Green Canyon High School. We want to create a culture of support and compassion within the peers and their teachers and the staff here at Green Canyon. We want to equip students with skills to deal with all types of situations, positive and negative, and help them come out on top, whether it was a positive or negative situation, and then to be proactive and avoid problems instead of just to fix them. So figuring that out before something happens. Children are resilient, and within positive learning environments, they can grow, learn, and succeed. We really believe that here at Green Canyon High School, and that we want to give them that kind of environment. Another thing that we think is powerful is if we can give every freshman at least one adult that they can have here as a resource for the rest of their high school career, we think that will help increase their success, and then of course have that support here. And then to go along with having at least one reliable adult, we want to give them a student mentor. So each class of Wolfpack Academy will have at least 2 mentors of the upperclassmen who can be there to guide them through the challenges of high school and to be their friend, and really overall just help them do high school right.
part of this comes from something we talk about quite a bit here at school about the power of moments. And this kind of explains it all. The defining moments shape our lives, but we don't have to wait for them to happen. We can be the authors of them. We decided to be a little bit more proactive and not just wait and see what problems students would have coming to school, but try to create a way for them to avoid having these problems and learn how to deal with situations. We'd much rather equip people with those type of skills than just wait and see what happens. And the big way that we think is don't judge, get curious. I've been teaching for 23 years now, and I can be honest with you and let you know that my first few years, when a kid didn't show up for something or couldn't do something, first thought that came to my mind, kid's a turd. Like, why would I help him? He's just a turd, he's lazy. I'm not gonna help him, and I'm sure a lot of people have felt that way. We probably felt that way about our own children sometimes. But we kind of changed that mindset here, and we want to know the stories. We want to know why people aren't succeeding, what problems they're having, before we start judging. There's no reason for us to just assume that they can't do something or something's wrong. We want to find out the story so we can help solve the problem. So we don't judge, we get curious, we find out what's going on. Now I'd like all the mentors and the Wolfpack Academy teachers to come up here for a second. We want you to be able to see all the teachers and mentors that are going to be working with the freshmen. Not everyone's here tonight, but quite a few of them are. We have 15 teachers, and we have 29 mentors, so each class almost has 2 mentors per class. We have one class that only has 1. But these are all of our mentors and teachers. Let's give them a big hand while they're coming up. So for those that are here, I'm just going to write down let them say their name. That way when you see them on a class list or you hear their kids talking about who their mentor or their teacher is, you can put a face to it. You can pull your mask down really quick so they can see who's bearded and not, like when it comes by with your name. Okay, ready?
I'm Mariah Checkett. Vanessa Alder. Tiffany Frank.
Alexis Bird.
Melena Knowles.
Zach Erickson.
Gordon Geddes. Troy Oldham.
Amy Staker. McKenna Earl.
Kaylee Kirkham.
Ethan Rhodes.
Sophie Lindsay.
Haley Anderson. Annalie Parker.
Erin Jensen. Caitlin Payne.
Leah Cox.
Kenna Brocken. Natalia Sanchez.
Ryan Webb.
Shane Jones.
Sven Rasmussen.
Ryan E. Warren.
Okay, and if you have trouble figuring out which were the teachers and which were the students, you can talk to us afterwards and we'll make sure you understand. For those freshmen that are here tonight, tomorrow or Thursday when you come to the Wolfpack Academy Day, watch for these guys in these green shirts. That's how you'll be able to identify them, so if you need anything. Okay? All right, so let's give them one more hand. They can sit down. So with the teachers that we have that are working, they'll be the adult mentors that we talked about. They're also going to be working with 2 upperclassmen because we wanted the influence of older students who have kind of been through this school to work with the freshmen. And since they're the ones who actually know what's going on, what it's like, what they've been through. And this year, our seniors will be the first class that have gone all the way through Green Canyon. So they were our first group that we did Wolfpack Academy with. Back then it was called Freshman Transition. But they'll be able to share their experiences with the new freshmen that are coming in this year. We also will provide a viable curriculum and a safe learning environment. And the teachers actually help. We work together. Oh, I gotta take this off for a second. I couldn't see you. My glasses were fucking up. I'll stay way back. So we work together to actually create the curriculum that we use, and we're constantly collaborating to make sure that we're making adjustments that are beneficial for the students. We see what's happening, we pay attention to what's happening, we share those ideas, and then we make changes. Probably the biggest thing that our main focus for this is social and emotional learning competencies. And as you can see, the definition up here that goes along with that, this is something we take very seriously. And considering the situation we're in, I don't think anyone would have predicted that we'd be sitting here right now and I would be staring at an entire auditorium full of masked people. What happened last spring when we had to shut down school that quickly, that isn't something that we knew would happen, but we hope that doing things like this will prepare us for those things. So anything that happens this year for our students, they'll have the skills to take care of whatever situation it is, but we won't just shut down and give up. So with this too, there are 5 competencies that we focus on. Your students are going to get to know these really well, and they'll be doing some things with you at home too to show you what it means and how this is used. But the 5 we work on are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And then you can see some of the other subcategories in there that deal with these. But they'll get to know these really well, and this is our main focus of Wolfpack Academy, are on these competencies. Now, these competencies will still focus on our school mission statement. Everything we do here at the school is part of the pack. We're always going back to what's our purpose, our attitude, connections, and knowledge that are going to make us not only better here at school, but also better in life. We don't want to just prepare your kids to do a good job at school. That's great. But ultimately, we want them to be contributors to society. We want everyone to go, oh my gosh, you must be from Green Canyon because you're awesome. Not just now, but later on in life, once they leave school as well. We want the students to be involved. We're going to do all kinds of things to not only kind of push them into being involved, but also that they know what kind of things they can be involved in. We don't want anyone to leave here and their senior year saying, oh, I wish I would have done that. I didn't know about that. Oh, what? We don't want any of that. We want every student to leave here and go, oh my gosh, I am so tired because I did everything. And that was the greatest experience of my life. And then our last thing is we use what we call habitudes. And habitudes is a list up here. They're image-rich lessons that teach habits and attitudes of good leaders. We see every one of the freshmen as leaders. We're not going to pick and choose and say, oh, that's a good one. Every one of them could be a leader. And so we want to tap into that and try to make them the best leaders we can. So this is just an example of some of the images that come from these habitudes. This one is called drivers and passengers. This is the first one that we'll start with the students. And I want you guys to think for just a second. How many of you remember when you got your driver's license? The first time. Some of you got it more than once. But the first time you got your driver's license, you remember how exciting that was? And it was kind of scary too. I teach driver's ed too, so I know a lot about driving. But I still remember when I got my driver's license. My mother was she's the one that took me down. I had to take my test at the DMV at that time. I was so excited. I passed my test. I went back to school. She let me drive back to school, and she went home, and I took the car to school by myself. It was during lunch, so I missed one of my classes. I made up the work, though. And then when I left after school, I was so excited. 2 of my friends got in the car, and I backed into another car, right in the parking lot. And I looked back at the person, and I waved. It was somebody I knew. I waved, and then I drove away. I'm an idiot. But everything changed from that moment. Because before that, I was a passenger. What do you do as a passenger? You can sit in the back now. How many of you have kids who you want a long ride? You go somewhere, maybe travel like 4 or 5 hours, and when you get there, the kids say, oh, are we there? Like, I didn't even know we'd gone that far. Like, where did we go? A lot of us have that happen in our cars right now because as a passenger, you can watch video, you can play games, and you can never even pay attention to anything that's happening. But you're fine, you get there. So, but when you're a driver, everything changes. Now you have to think about, where am I going? How am I going to get there? What about the other cars around me? Is everything functioning in this car? If I check the tires, are all the fluids okay? Is everyone buckled? Because I don't want to get a ticket because some of them are under 16. You start listing out all these things. You got to pay attention to the things on the dash. You got to pay attention to the speed limit, the signs, traffic, all of those kinds of things. And you are the one that's responsible for that. No one else. You're not going to have a bunch of other people saying they're telling you everything to do. You're responsible for that. That's one of the biggest steps for freshmen now coming into high school. The freshmen are in charge. They have to move into the driver's seat. Some of them literally are very close to getting their driver's license. But now we want them to think about that figuratively too, that they are now drivers in their lives. Not just drivers of cars, but drivers of the decisions they make. Because in high school, there are a lot of decisions they're going to have to make here. And we want them to make good decisions. And if they make bad decisions, we want them to be able to learn from that and make even better decisions after that. So this is one of the first things we do. A lot of the lessons will be focused on this, where we have an image, we have a lesson that goes along with it. I didn't give you the whole lesson, just a little tiny piece of it. And then we connect that back to one of those social emotional learning competencies. This is a great one that we like to teach with self-management. And thinking about that once you're kind of self-aware of your situation, what you can and can't do and all that kind of stuff, then now you have to start managing things. How do you manage your time? How do you manage those things that you have to do throughout the day and the decisions that you have to make? Are you going to be a driver or are you going to be a passenger? Once we teach these things, then later on, if someone maybe makes a poor decision or something and they're sitting in the principal's office with Mr. Swenson, all Mr. Swenson doesn't have a big long speech. He just looks at him and says, are you being a driver? Are you being a passenger? And then most of the time they just go, oh, you're being a passenger. I'm sorry, I should be a driver. And they know exactly what we're talking about because they've already learned the lessons from it. This is similar, it won't be exactly like this, but this is similar to a letter. We'll send out a newsletter every couple of weeks or so, informing you as parents what's going on in class and how you can reinforce that at home as well. And with that, if your email and your contacts in PowerSchool are incorrect, then it's really hard for us to send you information. So please make sure that you check PowerSchool and make sure that your email is correct so you can get those newsletters from us with that information. Another big part that, sure. With that thing with the how-to-tos, when we went for a totally different reason. We went there, actually the principal, he deceived me because he said I was going to this image thing and I thought it was how to use electronics better in the classroom. And then this guy just kind of started storing pictures and telling stories. And I was kind of thrown off. But as we listened, it was fascinating. And the information that we got has changed my life forever. And we were so excited to bring that back and use it with the freshmen. And the cool thing is that we were there with a pretty large group. This was in in Atlanta. And while we were there, we started talking to different people there. And we were the only high school people there. Everyone else was there from universities. There were professional athletic teams like football and stuff. There were religious groups. A group from Chick-fil-A was there. So all these professional people were there trying to learn how they can work with their companies better. And they were actually kind of fascinated that we were there as a high school. But we'd like to feel like, I think we're taking some steps in the right direction, again, to prepare our kids here for the future, for life in and outside of high school. A big thing that we're going to be doing are kind of interactive journals with the kids. This is where we hope they'll put everything that they're learning in this class. And they'll put enough in there that it's very personal to them, because a lot of this is going to be based on the reflection about them and their progress that they make throughout the class, and be able to come home and share that kind of with you, so you can see that progress too. A lot of times we start here and we get here, but we forget about all that in between, about how we got there. So this, we want them to have something visual that they can actually see that progression, which hopefully will inspire them to continue to get better in everything they do. And that's it. It's 7:30, right? Oh, 7:31.